Because it's been a wild weekend of racing, Xfinity, Cup Series, and 12 Hours of Sebring action. Let's get into it. And the first major discussion point was the Xfinity Series at Atlanta and a confrontation that took place post-race between Noah Gragson and Daniel Hemrick, which was spurred on by this pit incident in which Gragson has taken a lot of heat for backing up into Hemrick, which Hemrick took exception to and let his feelings known to Gragson with his fists as Gragson was doing a radio interview for PRN. Check out those swings, baby. Whoop! IMSA once again put on an absolute banger of a race for the 69th nice 12 Hours of Sebring. Now, there was action pretty much all through this race. The pole-sitting Whelen Cadillac was eliminated from contention early with this contact in the treacherous turn 17. Lots of scary moments in this race. Here's the GTD class bringing the first real scary moment of the race. A Mercedes and a Lamborghini going hard into the tire barrier. Thankfully, everybody was okay. Speaking of scary moments, check out this incident with the 31 and number 5 Cadillacs. The 5 actually ending up in the tire barrier, but not out of the race. And you should really hold on to that thought if you don't know what happened yet. The most frightening crash of the day was the Starworks LMP2 going straight off in turn 1. Barrel rolling, spectacular looking accident. Thankfully, once again, safety prevailed and everybody was okay. Now, the major moment of the race was perhaps this. The dominant car for the second race in a row, the Ganassi Cadillac, was out of the race late again. This time, contact trying to enter the pits from one of the GTLM BMWs. Now, the Ganassi team was not the only car to have bimmer troubles in the last few minutes of the race. The GTLM leading Corvette, out of the way. This incident gave the GTLM lead and the win to the WeatherTech Porsche. Yes, you heard that right. The only fully privateer GTLM in the field takes a victory in only its second race in competition. That is excellent news. And speaking of unlikely, the overall win and the lead was given from the Ganassi Cadillac to the car you saw in the tires earlier, the number 5 JDC Miller Motorsports Cadillac. An absolutely fantastic battle to the end. 5 cars in contention for the win, but Sebastian Bourdais was the first one across the line. The team's first win since their shocking victory at the 2018 Watkins Glen 6 Hours when they won with an LMP2 car in Gainsco sponsorship. Here's the full rundown of the class winners. If you missed Sebring, shame on you if you did. It was a fantastic race. The next race is at Mid-Ohio, so if you want to catch up on some IMSA action, that will be the next event. Now, on to NASCAR Cup Series action, and Kyle Larson led 269 laps, nice, in the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500, but not the most important one. Ryan Blaney, with the help from his tail end of the lead lap teammate Joey Logano, passed Larson and went on to win. And I have some thoughts about this because I really do think Larson's team completely choked this win away. And ultimately, to me, the race was lost at the very end of Stage 2, and that may sound a little bit strange, but there was a situation where Kyle Larson had lapped most of the field up into 14th place and was just coming through the field very, very quick, got to the 14th place car, who was his teammate Chase Elliott, and backed off the gas, allowed Chase Elliott to stay on the lead lap at the end of the stage. And on the surface, you go, okay, team orders, being nice to a teammate, certainly being nice to the most popular champion driver with a big sponsor on the team, makes some sense from that perspective, right? The problem was, in my estimation, I looked at it, and you can go to my Twitter and you can see exactly when I tweeted this. The car that was on the lucky dog position was Joey Logano. And in my mind, I looked at that and said, if I had the dominant car that Larson had, why on earth would I give a free pass to Joey Logano for under any circumstances? Because if you'd lapped Elliott, even if it was right at the line, you would have been able to obviously give Elliott, your teammate, the free pass and hopefully trap Logano a lap down, at least temporarily. So as things kind of came around, ultimately keeping Elliott on the lead lap, of course, meant absolutely nothing because he blew up his engine just after the start of the third stage. Logano remained on the lead lap all the way up until the end of the race, where he was able to block Kyle Larson. Team tactics, similar to what we saw with Hendrick Motorsports, but much more ruthless from Team Penske, allowed Ryan Blaney to close in on Kyle Larson and pass Kyle Larson for the win. And to me, I'm very much questioning the decision from the 5 team because I think had they just been absolutely ruthless, they would have easily won this race, no doubt about it. But they weren't ruthless enough, especially to teammates, and I believe it cost them the win. Now, is this the end of the world? Absolutely not. This is something that I've really realized today, is that Kyle Larson is pretty clearly the top driver now all of a sudden on the cookie cutter 1.5 milers, and who would have thought we'd be saying that a couple of years ago. And I really do think that Larson's the championship favorite. You think about Phoenix, he was right there. That's the track where the championship is decided, folks, these days. So if they can learn something from the spring Phoenix race and bring it to the fall Phoenix race, assuming they're in the Final Four, which I don't expect that they won't be at this point. You look at the Daytona road course. He was right there, had a mistake, choked away a win there, but he was there. He could have won that race. That's a road course. There's more of those than there have ever been on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Daytona 500, plate race. That's going to be the cutoff race to get in the chase. That was a race that Kyle Larson was in contention, could win. And of course, we know about Las Vegas, victory there. So I do think that Larson right now is the front runner, all things being equal, for the championship. Speaking of the NASCAR championship, a lot of talk about 16 drivers potentially winning races. I think there's a possibility, or over 16 drivers, so that there's a possibility that a driver who wins a race won't actually be locked into the playoffs. I do think there's a possibility of that. It's an outside possibility, especially with looking at how dominant Larson's suddenly becoming. And I think that there's a chance that we'll have another first-time winner at Bristol, but I think as you kind of go through the season, especially if Larson brings that same car to Atlanta for the second race at Atlanta that he brought for this one, things like that, I think you'll see repeat winners much more frequently as we continue down the season. So it's going to be difficult to get to that 16 winners, but I do think it's possible. It's probably more likely in this season than it ever has been before. But we're running out of kind of the secondary cast of characters who can win, and you start looking at guys like Kyle Busch and people like that and go, okay, when's their win coming, you know? So that's kind of where I stand with that. It's I have to tell you, there are some interesting elements to NASCAR this year. I really, and this is something I probably will end up making a video about, they've really got to bring back practice. There's no doubt about it. And I just realized I didn't turn on my webcam for the entire length of the video, pretty much. That's embarrassing. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the whatever footage I can kind of put together to show you guys what I'm talking about. Where was I? Oh yeah, practice. I need to talk about that at some point because I think there's going to be a correlation between television ratings and lack of actual on-track coverage, and obviously we're not going to be able to tell about attendance for quite a while and what effect that may have on it, but I think there's a big factor there. Big week for the channel coming up, I have to say. Next 10 days will be pretty interesting, I think, and I think you're going to want to check out some of the coverage I've got coming. I'll let the Patreon people know first what's coming, but it's going to be something not necessarily different, but definitely an adventure. There's no doubt about it. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. I'll remember to turn on my webcam for the next video for more than a minute of the video's runtime. We'll see you in the next video.